My 15-year-old daughter spent the night sleeping on a park bench after my parents falsely accused her of stealing. When I came back from my trip, I showed them this. My dad turned pale. My mom went completely silent. I got back from my business trip early that morning. Tired, sure, but in a good way. The kind of tired where you've got good news in your pocket and you're itching to share it. So I called my daughter from the back seat of the cab. Smiling already. She didn't pick up right away. And when she finally did, her voice sounded like I'd woken her up at 3 a.m. Mom. Hey, sweetheart. I'm back in town. Almost there. You at home? A pause. Long enough to feel wrong. No. I'm on a bench. Near the school. I didn't want to stay. I blinked. Wait, what? What do you mean, you're on a bench? Why? She was quiet. Then she exhaled. Grandma and Grandpa said I stole some stamps. Grandpa's collection. They noticed a few were missing. And Grandma said it must have been me. That I probably sold them. I told them I didn't, but they didn't believe me. I couldn't stay. At first, I didn't even register what she'd said. Or maybe I didn't want to. Stamps? Theft? My daughter? 30 minutes later, my cab pulled into the school parking lot. And there she was, knees pulled to her chest, sitting alone on a bench in her light jacket. Puffy eyes. Lips pressed into a tight line. I jumped out of the car and wrapped my arms around her. I didn't say anything. Neither did she. She just clung to me like she was afraid I'd pull back and say, "Give them back if you took them." "Let's go," I said. She could barely walk. I had to guide her. 3 blocks to my parents' place. Classic suburban Illinois, perfect lawn, porch swing, wreath on the door. The kind of house that screams wholesome until you realize the rot is inside. Mom opened the door. Hair done. Silk robe. Face like everything was perfectly normal. "Oh, you're home already? We weren't expecting you so soon." "Where are the stamps?" I asked. She blinked. "Excuse me?" "The stamps, Mom. The ones you were looking for. Or the ones you decided my daughter stole." Dad showed up behind her, holding a coffee mug. He froze when he saw me. "Now hang on," he said. "This isn't what you think. A few rare stamps went missing, and we had to ask. Rule things out. It wasn't an accusation." "Really?" I turned to my daughter. "Sweetheart, did it feel like an accusation to you?" She stared at the floor. "We just wanted the truth," Mom said, ice in her voice. "Someone took them. And she was the only one here. So naturally, it had to be her. No proof. No questions. Just her. Because she's not your real granddaughter, right?" Mom sighed. "Don't turn this into drama, Laura. We just asked a question. If she'd told the truth." "She doesn't lie," I snapped. I turned to my daughter. "We're leaving." "Laura, wait," Dad stepped forward. "Come on. We're just trying to figure out what happened. You really think we'd want to hurt her?" I pulled a folder from my bag, clear plastic, neatly labeled. "Set it on the entryway table. Read that when we're gone." He opened it. They both did. His face drained of color. Mom opened her mouth, probably to argue, but nothing came out. "We're walking out. On our own. While the door still swings both ways." And we left. No yelling. No dramatic exits. Just 2 people walking out of a house that suddenly felt heavier than concrete. In the car, my daughter didn't say a word. I drove with one hand and held hers with the other. She was shaking. I wasn't. I was calm. Cold. Diamond-edged. Back home, I got her a blanket, queued up cartoons, ordered everything she loved, pizza, ice cream, snacks she wasn't usually allowed. She ate slowly, silently. I sat next to her the whole time. Just stayed. That night, the calls started. Dad. Then Mom. Then my sister, clearly already briefed. Then Mom again. Then the texts, "You misunderstood. We didn't mean to." I muted my phone. Left everything unread. Didn't delete a thing. Just let it sit. Because that day, something snapped into place. Something clear. Sometimes family isn't who raised you. It's who you protect without hesitation. And I'd made my choice. For good. I could say it was all unexpected. But that would be a lie. A soft, convenient lie you tell yourself so you don't have to admit that you were warned. Years ago. In one sentence. One glance. In the tone of a mother who once said, "You always make everything so complicated." My name's Laura. I'm 38. And I've never been under the illusion that I was the favorite child. There's two of us, me and my younger sister Heather. And if you asked my mom whether she loved us equally, she'd probably laugh. Not because it's a silly question, but because to her, the answer is obvious. To her. To everyone. Heather is soft-spoken, polished, feminine. That's what Mom always called her. Dad just nodded along. I, on the other hand, was too direct, too blunt, too independent. Like independence was some kind of virus you catch and ought to be cured of. From early on, Heather and I were opposites. She was ballet recitals, polite giggles, and cupcakes. I was soccer cleats, library books, and uncomfortable questions. Mom always looked at us like we were two school projects. One turned out great. The other? A failed experiment. When Heather graduated high school, there was a photo shoot, a fancy dinner, a banner across the porch. When I graduated, Mom forgot to buy a cake. Said she was tired. She eventually baked something from a box mix. It was dry. The edges were burnt. Dad said, "It's the thought that counts." But I remember sitting there that night, realizing that not all thoughts count the same. Then came the kids. I have Grace, she's 15 now. Sharp, sarcastic, emotionally fluent way beyond her years. Doesn't play dumb, doesn't play nice if it means lying. Basically, she's me. Heather has Dylan. 13. And yeah, you guessed it, the sunshine of the family, our little genius, the boy with the spark. If Mom could build her ideal grandchild from a catalog, she'd pick Dylan and say, "Now that's what we're proud of." Every family gathering was the same. Grace reads a poem. Grandma checks her phone. Dylan mumbles nonsense. Standing ovation. Grace aces math. Silence. Dylan wins most friendly in school. Confetti and cake. I stopped getting angry. Truly. Because being angry about something you can't change will drive you insane. But Grace, she saw everything. "Mom," she asked me once, "why does Grandma always say Dylan is smart but tells me you're trying, and that's nice?" I wanted to lie. To say she misunderstood. That grown-ups don't know how to talk to kids sometimes. But I'd been that kid. The one told, "You're strong, you can handle it," while watching someone else get treated like a princess. Because Grandma has blind spots, I told her. And not all of them can be fixed. Before the business trip, I hesitated. Leaving Grace with my parents wasn't exactly plan A. But the stars had aligned. Heather's husband lost his job, and they moved in with our folks temporarily to save money. Big house. Spare room. It made sense on paper. Mom reassured me, "We'll all be together. Don't worry. Grandpa and I are here. We're family." And I wanted to believe her. I really did. Right before my flight, I walked into the kitchen and caught Mom on the phone. I didn't mean to eavesdrop. I just came in earlier than she expected. "Of course we'll do everything for Dylan," she said. "He's our only one like that." Grace? Well, she tries. Not everyone's meant to shine. She froze when she saw me. Played it off like it was nothing. I nodded, pretended I didn't hear. But something in me cracked then. Not for the first time. Maybe for the last. Sometimes family isn't who you share albums with. It's who doesn't write you off. I flew out to pitch a project we'd been building for a year. It was a long shot. But the meeting went better than I dreamed. Documents signed. Funding secured. The whole plan, greenlit. I felt alive again. Sitting in my hotel room, staring out at the skyline, drinking terrible wine out of a plastic cup. For once, I wasn't just someone's mom, someone's daughter. I was me. And I had pulled it off. All I could think about was going home, hugging Grace, telling her everything. Showing my parents what I could do, not to prove anything but just to give. I wanted to treat them to that European trip they'd always talked about. Help pay off the mortgage they were behind on. Just be the daughter they could finally say they were proud of. What I didn't know was that, at that exact moment, Grace was sitting in her room, feeling humiliated. That the golden-eyed boy was rummaging through Grandpa's collection. That my parents would find a few stamps missing and go straight to blaming the outsider. And not just blame. Accuse. Because when something goes missing, and there's a kid who isn't really theirs in the house, the math writes itself. Later, when it all came to light, I wasn't shocked. Hurt? Yes. But surprised? Not even close. Betrayal like that doesn't feel new, it just confirms what you've always suspected. This wasn't about Grace being sad. It was about her being scared. They didn't just question her. They made her the villain. Because someone had to be, and she fit their story. And then, silence. No calls. No texts. No attempts to ask what happened. To clarify. To fix anything. Not until I showed up in person. That was the moment I knew, there's a before and after in every story. And we had just crossed into the after. No going back. No pretending. Just truth. I woke up early the next morning. Way too early for someone who'd spent half the night staring at the ceiling. Grace was still asleep beside me, peaceful, deep, with that kind of tiarost that just breaks your heart. I looked at her face and wondered how anyone could seriously accuse her. Not just in passing. Not in frustration. But with certainty. Like it was fact. I made coffee. Black and bitter, like the morning after betrayal. Then I sat down at my laptop. I knew one thing for sure, Grace didn't take those stamps. She doesn't lie. Especially not to me. So that meant someone else did. And if you steal rare collector stamps, you don't just toss them. You sell them. Or try to. I remembered my dad used to show off those stamps at collector meetups. A few of them were pretty unique. Printing errors, historic editions, postmarks from obscure places. Nobody else in our town had anything like them. That I was sure of. I opened my browser and started searching. Not aimlessly. Not out of habit. With purpose. I typed in the exact description. And found them. Not right away, but through some forums, a few links and finally, a local antique shop's website. I recognized the storefront. I'd been there once or twice. They had an add-up, rare stamp lot. Set of 6. Brought in by a private party. Authenticated. Available now. $1,950. The photo was clear. I zoomed in. My heart sank. It was them. No doubt. I recognized a faint strip of glue damage on one of the corners. Dad had been furious when he'd nicked it. It was his pride and regret rolled into one. I remembered that, because he'd shown it to me like it was a family heirloom. I drained the cold coffee, got dressed, left a note for Grace, and drove across town. The shop opened at 9. I was there at 9:02. The owner was in his 60s, glasses halfway down his nose, the kind of man who's seen enough stupidity in life to stop being surprised. Good morning. I'm here about the stamps on your site, I said, holding up my phone. He squinted. Yep. Still got 'em. You're interested? They were stolen. From my father's collection. I have pictures. Descriptions. I'm not calling the cops, I just want to know who brought them in. He studied me for a moment. Then sighed. Teenage boy. Looked about 16. Skinny. Tall. Said he found them in his great-grandfather's garage. Came in with an old album. I checked, nothing in any stolen item database. You know how it is. Stuff like this rarely gets registered. What did he look like? He started describing him. By the third sentence, I already knew. Dylan. Heather's son. My nephew. The golden child. The boy who could do no wrong. The one they were going to buy a scooter for, because he earned it. How much did you give him? 500. Offered less, actually. He didn't haggle. Looked like he didn't know what he had. Can I buy them back now? He shrugged. Sure. I hadn't finalized the listing. I swiped my card. Took the box. The stamps were neatly laid out inside. My hands were shaking. I didn't know if it was anger, relief, or just the world shifting under me again. Then I drove to Heather's place. She answered the door in sweatpants and a face mask, somewhere between clay and seaweed. Saw me. Froze. Then saw the box. Her face cracked, just like the mask. What's going on? I walked past her into the house. Recognize these? Are those Dad's stamps? Yep. The ones your son sold to an antique shop. For $500. I just bought them back. What? No. Wait. Are you sure? Positive. I ID'd them. The seller described Dylan. Tall, thin, light jacket. Said he brought them in an album. Gave a whole backstory about his great-grandfather. Took the cash and left. No questions asked. Heather looked like she'd been slapped. I didn't know. I swear. He never said a word. I'm not here for an apology. I just want you to know. And I want the $500 back. I'm not letting this go. She grabbed her wallet. Silent. No yelling. No dramatics. Just someone suddenly ashamed. She handed over the money. I'll talk to him. That's unacceptable. Yeah, it is. Especially after what happened in our parents' house. Grace spent the night on a bench because no one believed her. And now we find out the thief was your son. Laura. I'm not mad. Not anymore. I remember. I remember exactly who's one of us, and who's always a suspect. I took the money. Thanked her. Left. No more words needed. Back in the car, I held the box on my lap. Thought about dropping it off at Dad's place. No note. Just leave it on the porch. But I didn't. Let him sit with it. Let him stew. Let him wonder what kind of man points a finger at a child based on nothing but convenience. When I got home, Grace was still asleep. I slid the box into my desk drawer. Then I sat down beside her. And for the first time in days, I cried. Not loud. Not messy. Just quiet tears. Because sometimes the truth doesn't set you free. It just shifts the weight onto another shoulder. And I knew now, this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. I didn't answer any calls that day. Not my mother's, not my father's, not Heather's. Not even the ones that came in as no caller ID, because I knew exactly who that was. I let them pile up. Voicemails. Texts. Vague apologies followed by excuses. You misunderstood. We were just concerned. You overreacted. I didn't reply. Because here's the thing about betrayal. Once it happens, you don't owe anyone your patience anymore. I waited a full 24 hours. Then I called my lawyer. Her name was Rebecca. Efficient, calm, and very good at putting steel into sentences. I explained everything. Not the drama. Just the facts. The false accusation. The emotional distress. The pattern of bias against my daughter. The casual cruelty wrapped in polite words. The fallout. Rebecca listened. Then she asked me what I wanted to do. And I told her. Cut the cord. Financially. Permanently. No more monthly transfers to my parents. No more quiet help with utilities. No more paying for Heather's oldest daughter's college fund, just until things stabilize. No more insurance coverage for anyone outside my household. Rebecca got quiet for a second. Then she said, okay. I'll send the paperwork this week. And just like that, decades of quiet tolerance started to crumble. 3 days later, they found out. I know the exact day because my phone practically had a seizure. Calls, voicemails, texts. Laura, what the hell is this? You're cutting us off? Over a misunderstanding. We raised you. You can't just walk away from your family. Actually, I could. And I was. I ignored them. But I didn't ignore Aunt Cindy. She was my mother's sister. The one who'd always been weird in the family. A nurse who loved camping and kept fossils in her kitchen. She was also the only adult who ever spoke to me like I had a brain. When I was a kid, her house was the only place I felt safe. So I called her. and told her thank you for the things she probably didn't even remember. She listened, said she was proud of me, asked if Grace was okay. Then she cried. A week later, I booked her and her husband a Mediterranean cruise. Italy, Greece, France. Ocean view cabin. I didn't tell her. Just emailed her the tickets with a short message. For every time you made me feel like I mattered. Love, Laura. She posted a photo of the tickets on Facebook. My mother saw it. I know because an hour later I got a text. So this is what you do now? Reward outsiders. I blocked her. Meanwhile, Grace started smiling more. Eating better. Laughing again. She went back to school and aced her chemistry quiz. One night she came into my room and asked if we could take a weekend trip. Just us. Anywhere with bad coffee and good bookstores, she said. I said yes. Of course I did. And one morning, weeks later, she handed me a drawing. It was a tiny bench. A little girl sitting on it. Above her, a caption. Sometimes the ones who are supposed to protect you are the ones you need protection from. She looked up at me and said, but not you. Never you. I hugged her. Too hard. Probably made it awkward. She didn't complain. That was the day I finally took the stamp box out of my desk. I wrapped it in brown paper. No note. Drove to my parents' house. Walked up to the porch. Left it on the welcome mat. And rang the bell. Then I walked away. Didn't wait. Didn't look back. Because I was done. Done trying. Done justifying. Done hoping they'd ever see me, or Grace, as anything more than placeholders in their golden child fantasy. Sometimes family means biology. Sometimes it means who you bleed for. And sometimes, it just means knowing when to finally shut the damn door. Do you think I did the right thing? Sometimes I still wonder. Maybe I should have forgiven. Talked it through. Tried one more time. But then I look at my daughter, how she sleeps soundly now, how she laughs without flinching, and I know, I didn't choose revenge. I chose her. If this story struck a nerve, tell me in the comments, what would you have done? And if you want to hear more stories like this, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Thanks for sticking with me till the end.